Okay, today we're going to look at using the layer mask to make some pretty cool effects. In this case, we're going to take an image of Charlie Sheen and a skull, and we're going to combine them to get this finished product. Doesn't look like he's doing so well in it. So what I want you to do is, if you put your cursor over these first two images and click on them, you can get a better image, a better resolution. So just go ahead and right click and save image as, and go ahead and do that for both images if you would. Apparently I went too far. So go ahead and save both images, and when you do, go ahead and pull up Photoshop, please, and go ahead and bring them up in Photoshop. File open, and there's one. I'll hold down Control, and I can open them both up at the same time. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to pull this skull into the picture. Now if I just pull it in like that, and I'll just click OK, it's just a different color. I don't want the black part, so I'm going to hit delete on that. So let's go back here. And using our magic eraser, which we might have to hold down, we use that back with the big red barn here. I'm using a magic eraser. I'll just click on the somewhere in the black, and then I can isolate everything that's not black. There we go. And so now I'll pull that in and just click OK. Now what I want to do here is I want to line this up. But first things first, so instead of calling this layer 1, I'll click it and let's go ahead and call it skull. And then for the background, which is really Charlie Sheen, I'll call it winning. There we go. Okay, so back with the skull layer. So what I want to do is I want to match this skull up with his face, basically. You can see it's not quite big enough here. So I'm going to hold down Control T, and when I start to make it bigger, I can start to guess, but I don't really want to guess. So what I'm going to do, I'll hit enter there just to get it a certain size. I'm going to go back over here with this opacity, and I'm going to reduce the opacity so I can see through it. Alright, okay. And then I'll go back and hit down Control T, or I guess I could go Edit, Transform, there we go. And I want to line the eyes up. And it looks like you may have a bigger head. There we go. No, I guess not. Line, there we go. That's looking pretty good, I think. So something like that where it lines up. And when you do that, go ahead and hit enter. So we've lined up everything pretty good here. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the skull behind him. So if there's our skull. Okay. By the way, I do want to take the skull opacity back to 100%. So let's go ahead and slide that over. Okay, and I'll show Charlie again. There we go. So that's what's behind him. Okay. Now, next we're going to go ahead and put our layer mask on. Now, remember, everything when we use the paintbrush to make a layer mask, anything that we paint in black shows what's behind him. Okay. Anything we paint in white just shows him, basically. So I'm going to get rid of this just because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and select a brush. And that looks about right. And I'll change my opacity somewhere around 60. Close enough for me. 59. There we go. And painting in black, if I just start painting over his eyes, I can see, and you can see I'm a little too far. We'll come back with that later. There we go. And there's the nose. Okay. just do this by accident here. Okay. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Alright, so looking decent here, and you can see the more I paint it, the more of the skull that we can see. Alright. Now, again, if I'm painting in black, I can see what's underneath. However, if I switch these colors and paint in white, I can put back his face, since I really didn't want to show any of that white. There we go. Okay. There we are. And if I want to uncover a little more, there we go. And I'll flip the colors of paint in white and get rid of that little piece right there. Okay. Alright. And then finally I'm going to use the dodge tool. I don't think we've used that yet. But I'll set the dodge tool and I'll keep the exposure at about 50%. And what the dodge tool does is it can soften the edge. Alright, so I can see a clear distinction between the skull, and so that will soften it a bit. Okay. Doesn't do a ton of things, but like I said, we've only got it around 50%, but there we go. Now I can see in here that I have messed up and I've painted over a layer mask on the mic, so I need to go back to my brush, and if I paint in white, there we go, and put it back. Okay, and let's go, there we are, and of course every image needs a title, correct? So didn't really want that. So I'll go here. Oh, see, my computer does that too, apparently. I would have made one. There we go. And Rockwell. There we go. Maybe something like that. I can tell that won't show up very well on that side, but it certainly will this side. I think that what that really needs is one of those. And go, and I might even give that my red stroke. There we go. And be sure and put your logo on it and save it as a JPEG for me and a PSD file for your own records.